Hi listeners. So in today's video, we're going to discuss if lifestyle changes actually change our genes. I absolutely love this topic. I think it's fascinating. And so by the end of this short series, what I hope that will happen, or what my intention is that you'll be able to understand yourself this buzzword called epigenetics, and you'll be able to actually explain to yourself and others what does it mean to be able to change our genes. We were taught that the genes dictate our destiny, and that's what I knew, that I had no choice. I was given these genes, and this is what I was supposed to live with. And then some years later, as I was leaving my youngest son's nursery school, one of the teachers there said to me something about her identical twins not being identical. And I'm like, what do you mean they're not identical? There's either fraternal twins and identical twins, and identical twins have exactly the same DNA. I mean, I studied biology, I should know that. And she said, no, they don't have the same DNA, they don't have the same genes. And I thought, okay, I'm not going to argue with her. I'm going to go home and look this up. And to my surprise, I saw that, yes, there was the truth in what she said, and no, not exactly true. So yes, identical twins have exactly the same genes, but what is different is that they can express themselves completely different. And that's where the term epigenetics comes in. Okay, I'll sort of even take this a step further. So if you look at a person, okay, or let's say you're at a crime scene, and we want to know if this blood sample and this skin sample and this hair sample and this sperm sample, if they all belong to the same person. How do we check that? We can check their DNA. And all those different cells, even though they look completely different, they'll all have the exact same DNA. The genes will be exactly the same. So then, you think, wait a minute. So if every single one of my cells in my body, be it a blood cell, be it a hair cell, be it a nerve cell, if they all have the exact same genetic information inside, why don't they all look the same? They look very different. So that is something that you will understand in a few minutes. But before that, I want to explain what exactly the definition of epigenetics is. So it's the study of how behavior and environment doesn't change the gene, but it changes the expression of the genes. Okay, so here it is, epigenetics made easy. We're going to discuss it in a way, we're going to use metaphor. And at the end of this, it should be very easy to understand and explain to anyone that you need the way that we actually can change the expression of our genes. What does that mean? So let's say that I have a book called The Joy of Cooking, and it's a really, really thick book that obviously has recipes on how to make all kinds of dishes. So I buy a ton of these books, and I go into a building, and I want everybody in that building to have the exact same book. Well, I don't want all the recipes to come out. There's let's just pretend there's 3,000 recipes in there. I don't need everybody to constantly put out 3,000 recipes. So to be more efficient, what I will do is I will differentiate, and I will go to the people on the first floor, and I'll give them the book, but I'm going to tag the pages that I don't want them to be able to access. So how will I make that tag? I'll take some Scotch tape or a stapler, and the people on the first floor, I'll give them the book, but pages 1 to 75 and 94 to 203, I will clip with a stapler and give them the book. So in their units, they will be able to make all the recipes, but they won't be able to make the recipes because they won't be able to access. They won't be able to see the ones that are covered up and stapled up. Then I go to the second floor, and I'll do the same thing. I'll give the books to the people on the second floor. However, what I'll do is I will staple pages 93 to 110 and pages 707 to 1002 and pages 2900 to 3000 or whatever. Okay, and those ones will not be accessible. I'll give them to the second floor, and on the third floor I'll do the same thing, only I'll make other pages not accessible. So in other words, even though all the units have exactly the same book, the expression or the recipes that will come out will be different on the first floor and different on the second floor and different on the third floor. So now let's go back to the human body and pretend that this building is the human body. And instead of differentiating first floor, second floor, I'll differentiate this is a nerve cell and this is a muscle cell and this is a blood cell. So yes, they all have exactly the same sequence and exactly the same letters, and everything's written in exactly the same order in all the cells. They're just tied differently. So how do we express the recipes is we have to read them and then make them. So in the body, we have little enzymes that read the DNA or the gene and then create proteins from them. But if those enzymes can't access the information that's written, they're not going to be able to create this protein. And that's why, even though every cell has exactly the same DNA, it can be expressed differently according to how it's actually folded. Okay, I'll give you another example. Let's say I had a long scarf, and in this scarf, there was a bunch of pictures on the material. Now, depending on how I folded the scarf, if I folded it in a way that appeared a house and the sunshine, and all the other pictures were hidden in here, you would say, oh, that's a beautiful, I like your scarf with the house and the sunshine. Now, the next day, I could decide to fold that scarf in a whole different way, and all of a sudden there's no house, there's no sunshine. I see a dog and a cat. So, the same person goes, oh, I like your new scarf, the dog and the cat. No, it's not a new scarf. It's just folded differently. So it's expressed differently. Okay. So why is all this important? Like, where is it relevant to the way my thoughts or my lifestyle or my behavior or my emotions, where does that come in? How it can change the readout of my genes or the expression of my genes. So one of the leading professors in the field of epigenetics is Dr. Bruce Lipton, and his research in the 60s, he took 3 of the exact identical DNA strands, or what he did was he took the same cells, okay, called stem cells, doesn't matter, he just took 3 cells that had the exact same DNA and put them in 3 different dishes. Those dishes are fed things that will make the DNA grow and replicate, and that's called a culture. So each one of the 3 of the exact identical cells were given different cultures. Okay, so in other words, they had different mediums around them, or different food, or different things that they were surrounded by, a different environment. And what he found was that even though the genes were exactly the same in each of those 3 mediums, in each of those 3 cultures, in one culture, a muscle cell came out, and in another culture, I don't remember, some other cell came out, in the third culture, something else. So it wasn't that the blueprint was any different, it was that the environment was telling the genes how to express themselves. So these epigenetic tags, they're, like I said, the commas and the periods and the spaces between the words. So look at this meaning. A woman without her man is nothing. Or you can read it, a woman without her man is nothing. And they have the same sequence, but with the punctuation, it means exactly the opposite. And so with us, the same thing can happen. We can have the same gene sequence that we were born with, but depending on how the genes are read, we could have completely different expressions of ourselves. So this section here, I'd like to talk about how Kinnaird and I developed Show Me Da Way and the two maps, the spider map and the emotion map, to be able to mirror what we know in epigenetics and mirror what we know about the Tao. So how does that look? So the spider map, if you'll remember, it's an acronym for situation or the environment, the perception or the way we're thinking, the ID. The ID is who we are, or our proteins, or our life, our genetics. The emotion, E, and R, the reaction. So in this game, what we're doing is we're uncovering our thoughts and the way our perception and the way we feel. And we're seeing who are we when our genes are expressed this way, and who we would like to become with a different set of genetic expression, which is totally plausible, as we just learned in the previous videos. Now for the second map, it's more causing you to take action. So what we're saying is we're writing ourselves each day little affirmations and little actions to take. Okay? So when we create this game, this tool is helping us make new choices. And when we make new choices, we have new gene expressions. We make new gene expressions. We make new versions of ourselves. And we make new versions of ourselves. Then we're constantly in change, being in harmony with the environment, and that is living the Tao.